a huge case, a really important case, in some ways a symbolic case. For the prosecution to lose it like this after we saw the testimony of the people who said what he had done to them, I think this must have come as a shock to many people.
Yes, it was a shock to many people, but I think for me as a legal practitioner, it was more of a trepidation, feelings of trepidation throughout because of the length of time that it took and what could happen as a result of the time lapse, But it definitely, nevertheless, was a shock, and sad one for that matter. So we as the CGE want to start off by commending the survivors who came forward with their victims, considering the intimidation and bullying that was happening throughout this process. But it was an unpleasant outcome for us.
Do you believe that the NPA has let the women of South Africa down, let the victims, I suppose I now need to say again, alleged victims in this case? Do you think that justice has been let down by the NPA here?
Yes. Without a doubt, but it needs to go beyond the NPA and actually say the investment, financial investment into public service is actually faltering. And as a result, the people who have got the duty to provide those services are compromised, and therefore compromising the people who are supposed to receive the services. But above all, the ideals as captured in the Constitution are being compromised in so many ways. What we are seeing now, when they talk about all the challenges that were presented by the prosecutor, you actually hear a form of juniorization and poor training from the NPA, because you do not put somebody in a court and actually say whatever comes your way, you have to deal with it. There's got to be a system wherein there is an analysis of the cases that are going to be dealt with by the different courts, and therefore who, in terms of experience and expertise and skills, can be brought on to ensure that you secure a conviction where there is a crime that is suspected.
There is a pattern, and you, I'm sure, have seen it more than I have, where it seems that rich, powerful men in our society are able to abuse, in some cases rape, often harass women, and there seems to be a huge problem in our society with keeping them accountable. This may well be an example of that. Is our legal system just not strong enough to deal with this? And that's despite all of the promises we've seen from people in government and our politics that no, men won't be able to get away with it. I mean, in so many cases, it seems they do.
I wouldn't say rich, powerful men. I would actually say a lot of people who are accused of crimes, who sometimes most probably have committed the crimes, get away with it because of the challenges and gaps within the criminal justice system. Once a case that has taken so long to be brought to the attention of the police officers is finally brought, and there is limited evidence, or the evidence that's going to be reliant upon is more of emotional, you need to have a different approach. This is not a shut and close case where there is a dead body on the ground and there's murder and there's, somebody has got a knife in their hand, etc. It is totally different. Something happened many years ago, and you're coming and saying, this is what happened to me many years ago. As if that's not enough, you actually say, I walked into this person's home. So already it is not fitting into the boxes that you're supposed to tick as a prosecutor. So that is why I'm actually saying you need to look at the facts and therefore then say, oh, the approach has got to be slightly different. And over and above that, I actually stayed on despite my discomfort. That has got to have a different level of understanding of the Stockholm Syndrome, of the power that an abusive person has over you, of the subtlety of sexual harassment and sexual violation in an existing relationship. So it's layered, and it needs someone who understands. This was not a normal rape between two strangers.
There are So many things to this, and I made the point that this is a high-profile case. I mean, who can forget Cheryl Zondi at the very beginning of this, having to testify twice, in fact, about what she says happened to her. She, if she is correct, did not get justice today. Neither did the other people who testified. Certainly that's how they will be feeling. Do you worry that this will stop other women, maybe young women in particular, from laying charges in cases like this?
Yes, at face value, it would stop a lot of people, number one. But number two, we need to actually look at Cheryl Zondi, her family, and all those other women and their families as trailblazers. Today, in the GBV Act of 2024, we have included emotional violations, sexual abuse as a result of religious and or cultural context. And that, for me, is a powerful victory for us. People can walk away now and actually say, what happened to me was not culture. What happened to me was not religion. I've been violated, and the courts have got an obligation to listen now. So there is a victory that came out of this just as early as last year. But on the overall, it can go back to people saying, rich, powerful people, you can never win against them. Look at Omotoso. And in colloquial discussions, unfortunately, that's the tone that gets sent around to say, look at Omotoso walking free today, So what's the point?
Madam Chair, thank you very much indeed. The Chair of the Commission for Gender Equality, Advocate Nthabiseng Sepanya-Mogale.